We did not get this chapter last week because of some strange doing, so I decided to do a little discussion video talking about Black Clover. And no, I'm not gonna talk about the slamming it, if it's good or bad, if it's too predictable, or if it's lacking in any story about that. No, I'll leave that to the haters, which, by the way, I just want to torture. But no, this is merely a discussion video trying to talk about the so far main villains of the story. The White Knight Eye, or the White Knight Demon Eye. If there's one thing though I can criticize Black Clover with, it's the fact that the translations are a little bit unclear on what they are called. The personal wiki called them the White Knight Eye. The first manga page called them White Knight Demon Eye. But I think they but I think the manga book, I actually bought the manga book, had a different name. I'm afraid though I cannot go fetch it right now, so I don't know what it is. Well, for Black Clover Wiki's sake, let's call the main antagonist group the White Knight Eye. And what are we gonna discuss about? Well, we're gonna discuss about the members and a little bit more what they have in common, and in hopes of making it clear, because also Black Clover have TV tropes, but they do not have that on all of its members so far, and that can cause a little confusion. So I'm trying to a little bit make it a little bit more sense here. First off, what the mystery of White Knight? Why was it formed? They were formed because their goal is to destroy the Clover Kingdom. It's recently been revealed that there are two more kingdoms, the Diamond and the Spade, but they are not united with the Clover. They are in fact rivals. So it's not exactly clear yet if the White Knight Eye also have a grudge against the other kingdoms or just Clover personally, but given what we say, we should just assume that they have a personal grudge against Clover. But what I'm trying to say is it's not exactly confirmed yet how the other kingdoms are too. The Diamond Kingdom itself has been hinted of being also very deep into corruption due to the fact that the king is being sick and a rogue, not a rogue magician, but a, what's that word? Mad scientist magician is making tyke bomb soldiers and therefore also controlling the scenes behind the back, although Marth went to the place in hopes of controlling the king in order to rebuild it. We are to assume that's not happened. But we got off topic. We don't know anything about Spade Kingdom. But what I'm trying to make sense here in that very, very long, unnecessary talk is that we all know, even from the very first chapter to Seek, that Clover Kingdom is not a paradise. In fact, it is far from it. It is a city which is greatly divided with those that have nothing and those that have everything. It's also greatly divided in magic. There are those that have magic yet still has nothing, and there are those who have little magic yet they have everything. The most common thing is that if you have very high magic power, you are a noble, and then you have to look down on the commoners. That it seems what the White Knight Eye is fighting against, which, by the way, is a little hypocritical, but we'll get to that in a jiffy. First off, so what I'm trying to say is the White Knight is formed with powerful people that we have know from an interrogation that we can assume is correct. And, I'm saying that because they have informants inside the Clover Kingdom, which we should not take surprising. One of them is a magic captain, or at least someone important disguised as one of their strongest members. But we can also assume that there is another traitor, just because. So what I'm trying to say is, when some White Knight eyes were interrogated, there seemed to be some hints that maybe they were planted to say that. But they are a small group, but strong group. How many was it? 56? I don't know. But they're not real. There are many, but not really a whole kingdom of them. But they are all consist of people that have a very strong grudge against the Clover Kingdom. Whatever if that grudge is extremely petty or if it's extreme hatred. So, and according to their leader is a mysterious man by the name of Lich, a guy that we see from flashback and confirmation from another villain seems to imply that he is an elf that was loved by magic and saw his entire kingdom being destroyed by the humans when he hoped they could coexist. But the humans destroyed his kingdom and his people without any mercy, and that traumatized him. Which we assume, and given for the corruption we have seen of Clover, we should take that as actually being a little bit true. However, the story of Lich's background is still shrouded in mystery. Not because I'm trying to defend them or something like that. It's more like there is some things here we do not know what is true and what is wrong. As I said before, we should actually believe him that the Clover Kingdom attacked his people, because as I said before, the corruption in there is extremely strong, so we should not be surprised. However, what I meant to say is the Clover Kingdom also lying about something, or did that really happen? What I'm trying to say is, the story goes that Lich tribe were a pack of demons that worshipped the demons, and one turned into a demon by using taboo magic. But according to the queen, the story is that they were betrayed by the humans and then killed by them. So in that essence, Lich's story seems to be the more likely one. However, it's not exactly confirmed. Did that leader who used taboo magic do that in order to extract his entire revenge? Or was it something else? The one who stopped them was the first Wizard King, but the Wizard King seems to have also been implied to be that one that Lich befriended. So yeah, Lich has all the right to hate Clover Kingdom. However, as Yami has put out, his hatred of the Clover Kingdom has also made him not better than the people he actually despised. But Lich justifies that by saying paying evil unto evil, which, by the way, I actually cannot deny is actually a good way. The only way for evil to completely stop is if you do evil itself. But yet the people that do get hurt by Lich so far do seem to be people that do not deserve to have this much damage. The White Knight Eye, when were they showed first? It's not exactly confirmed when they were showed first, but it's hinted at that the first antagonist, the guy with the clock, with Magna and Noel, there was hinted that he was a White Knight Eye member. And he planned on destroying an entire village because they held the magic stones. The White Knight Eye are also after magic stones, but I'll end this sentence first. So that is actually one of the reasons why Lich's group are not so much better than the nobles he hates, because he planned to destroy an entire village of innocent people just to get that one stone. And that's now anywhere different that the Clover Kingdom did to him, but still, they were not even people that could fight back, so it's questionable too. And as I said before, one of the goals is collecting magic stones, because according to the Witch Queen, it's only elves could utilize their magic completely, meaning that most of the White Knight Eye are elves' descendants. Then again, who should we believe is the descendant or who is not? First off, Lich should we actually extremely assume is an elf. He then has the third eye, which consists of their strongest members. He had Lyre, Veto, and Fana. But this troop was actually different. We should actually greatly assume that Veto was an elf. But Lyre and Fana are not as clear, mostly because Fana turned out to be a brainwashed girl from another kingdom, and it seemed to have implied that she was possessed by a raging spirit of the elf tribe, and therefore she became an elf when she was possessed by that raging spirit. But once that spirit was cleansed, Fana returned to her original personality. So it's not confirmed exactly there on how it works. It's not even implied if all the White Knight Eye are people that are possessed by raging spirits of the elf tribe. But that is only theory, talk, bad theory, not enough proof. So either it's bad writing or we'll just go with it. So the White Knight, yeah, this doesn't exactly make it anything clearer on what the White Knight is, right? But I'll try to summarize. The White Knight Eye are people that have extreme hate towards Clover Kingdom and want the revenge. They want to build their own kingdom and want to collect magic stones in hope of becoming one with mana. Now's the question though, what will become if they do become one with mana? I think they could take all the magic for their own. According to the story, when they were all blasphemist, the elf tribe was called the demon tribe that wanted to take mana of their own. And given Lich's story when he's told that they were all loved by mana and could do miraculous things, I should not be so very uh, incorrect in guessing that maybe they want to become one with mana so they can take mana. If you think about it, if they could neutralize and take away every single magic made by the people and the mana around them, then they would have complete control over everything, even the world. So I think that is their goal. Not to destroy the Clover Kingdom, but to become one with mana and take control over everything using that. So that's also another goal of why Lich's goal is more just as questionable as the nobles who look down on. And yet, but we should not really. I mean, that's a theory. It's not confirmed yet. Moreover, they all also, after the Asta's Black Clover, I mean his anti-magic swords. It's not confirmed yet why, but the Witch Queen has confirmed for us that the swords were wielded by an elf leader, and Lich as an elf is showing an extreme amount of passionate hate in front just at Asta for even wielding it, which is another thing that is hypocritical, because Lich says they are all loved by mana, every single one of the White Knight Eye, and that's what makes them different. And if you think about it, that is also a little bit racist, because uh, they are loved by mana, therefore they look down on people that are not as much loved by mana. The greatest example is that village that clock guy wanted to destroy. They had not so very high end of magic, and yet they were still gonna be destroyed because they were a waste of magic, as that ice guy was almost saying. Moreover, Lich's hatred for Asta is not only because Asta has stopped him so many times, but for me it seems to be more than just because he wields the swords. It seems to be more of the fact that it doesn't make sense in front of his eyes. It doesn't make sense for him that a boy that is hated by mana, according to himself at least, is capable of wielding those anti-magic swords. Meaning that I think Lich's hatred of Asta is more out of the line of racism, because, or well, maybe racism is the wrong word, but we'll go with that now. Because Asta is a boy that just not have any drops of mana, therefore he is nowhere near special. He is just a freak of nature, according to Lich. So why is he wielding the anti-magic swords that were wielded by his leader, a leader that was an elf and were loved by mana? Yeah, that is actually a very good question. Not because of what Lich just said, but also because if the anti-magic swords really were anti-magic swords, then how the hell could an elf that were loved by mana wield them? That is not confirmed either. But I think it's assumed that maybe the anti-magic sword were not anti to begin with. If you think about it, they look rusty and extremely, well, a little bit wounded. But in the flashback, they look almost pure white-like. So I assume that maybe the anti-magic is not their true infinite power, but only Asta can utilize, because since he is a boy with no mana, the anti-magic inside the swords allows him to channel it and utilize it much better than anyone else, meaning that either either means that Asta can utilize the power of the swords itself way better than anyone with mana ever could, or it means that the swords itself have a power that Asta cannot utilize because he is not loved by mana. Or it could just very well imply that the swords have a secondary power, a power that neither of them could use, but it seems to be more likely Asta can use it just because he has no mana. But we got off topic again, didn't we? So yeah, for me it seems that the White Knight Eye are not only justifiable hatred towards the Clover Kingdom because of all the wrong things they do on people they look down on, but also because there are some people they feel like shouldn't be loved by mana or should have mana at all. Meaning it's more like the mana belongs to us. That's what I think is their true goal of the White Knight Eye. The third eye is the strongest group in the group, and it consists of Liar the Treachery, Vedo the Despair, and Fana the Hateful or Hatred. As I said before, Fana was a brainwashed girl that in the end turned out to not be a member of the group at all, but she was possessed by something. It's not confirmed on what that was, but we should assume she was possessed by a spirit made by a vengeful one. However, the flashback Fana saw seems to imply that maybe Fana herself was a descendant of one of Lich's friends, because when Lich saw her, she saw, "We meet again, old friend." Oh, it's so always so tragic what humans never learn. But your body cannot disappear yet. I have need of you. For me, that almost seemed to imply that maybe Fana is also a descendant of the elf tribe, and therefore she was taken to be the host of that evil spirit because of that reason alone. But that's just a theory. Veto, he is dead, but his past was also a little bit made clear. It seems to me that he really was an elf by Lich's side and one of his closest friends. And in the end, seeing this true despair turned him into a raging monster that only wanted to crush despair of everything people beneath, beneath him. So he seems to have been the most clearer of being an elf. But he did look different than he did when he grew up, and I do not know if that meant he was also possessed by a body, or if that meant, well, he just changed. And final one, the Liar, the Treachery, or the Faithless. He is an actor, the guy who is currently infiltrated in the Magic Knight ranks. It's not confirmed if he's a captain or a squire, but he is there, and he is seeing everything. The Magic Emperor knows that there is, a bad guy there, but he doesn't know who it is. Neither do we. I mean, I have my suspicions, but we'll leave it at that for now. And finally, we'll talk about the rest of the members a little short. All of them, yes, do indeed show very strong signs that they are people that have hatred. There are Valtos, the guy who is typically the teleporter. He also looks down on Asta because he is a guy that has no magic. And he seems to worship, you know, Lich. So to me, it seems to me that he follows him mostly because for him, a Lich is a god and a guy that will make everything right. And then we had Catherine, an old hag that disguised herself as a young one by using edge magic. She also seems to look up to Lich as a god. And then we have Sally, the crazy yet sexy girl that is a main scientist. It's not exactly confirmed on what she is doing in all the role of this, but if I have to assume, she reminds me a very lot of the stereotypical mad scientist that will do anything just to prove her theory right, and she really enjoys it. So maybe she just joined the White Knight Eye because she hoped that maybe she can find out the truth about things she doesn't know yet, and only by the White Knight Eye can she find it. So maybe she hates the Clover Kingdom because they took away her needs of researching. And then it's the most hateful of them all, Radis, who is actually the most clear, unstable of them all. And I still don't understand why the TV troops still hasn't made personal things about him, because his personality is as clear as day. He has an extremely petty grudge against the Clover Kingdom. He says he was a magic knight of the White Knight Orca. No, not White Knight Orca, the Purple Orca. But he was, fired, let's just say that. because his magic was considered dangerous and no one stood up to him because he was a commoner. At least that's how it goes in his own words. And if you read the arc where he is, we should actually, if you ask me, we should actually look at that in a little bit different. Yes, I do believe he was fired, and yes, I do believe not everyone did like him because he was a commoner. However, his magic is also a magic that allows him to resurrect the dead a bit, almost a little bit, and then control them. He can even control their magic if the guy was an extremely strong magician. And if you ask me, that's extremely desecrating. It's a strong magic, but it's also an extremely, what's that word? Not unhappy. I mean, condescending type of magic. I mean, you desecrate the dead. No one is meant to do that. So I think that is the real reason why the Purple Orca fired him. Moreover, if you look in the flashback when he had strong magic in the first place, he still had that arrogant smirk he always has when he's being overconfident. So if you ask me, I think he was the one causing a lot of trouble inside the kingdom, because he just said that he is just that strong, according to himself at least. So he was just so I think he was fired more because his personality and his magic was unstable, not just because he was a commoner. And Radius is the type of guy that is typically the extremely complete monster of the group. In fact, he doesn't fit in this White Knight a single bit. All of them have extreme loyalty towards Lich, it seems, and all of them have hatred towards Clover Kingdom. So why do I think Radius do not suit in this? Well, he has hatred towards Clover Kingdom, but for him, his hatred is extremely petty, and if you ask me, selfish. True, the rest of the the White Knight Eye may also have that, but Lich at least has a good reason. If you ask me, Radius' reason is just simply because he's a whiny, unstable guy. Moreover, it's clear that no one in the White Knight likes him, and they only tolerate him because Lich, for some reason, does. And if you ask me, if I were Radius, I would actually consider dethroning Lich, just because Lich has extreme power and you think he can control his corpse and, you know, yada yada yada. We still haven't seen him after his introduction into the arcs, so I'm just saying, if you ask me, Radius seems like the typical Starscream guy. If he is loyal to Lich, then that's actually his one and only positive thing. But I still cannot believe he is loyal to Lich. He doesn't look like the type of guy that actually listened to either reason or loyalty. I think he's just joining the White Knight Eye because they also hate the Clover Kingdom. So I think that's my scanning of White Knight Eye. I know I didn't make anything clearer, but I'll try to summarize. The White Knight Eye consists of people that, according to Lich, is loved by Mana. Therefore, I think they're looking down on, and they all have hatred towards Clover. But as I just said in the first one, I think their hatred towards Clover is not only because they have been unjustified treated by the corrupted Clover Kingdom, but also because since they are considered loved by Mana according to Lich, then they feel that maybe some of them feel it's their right to do what they want to do, because Mana is everything. Magic is everything, in some saying. And as Radius also said it, Mana is everything, isn't it? So I think it's also more like a religious fanatic cult, saying like their hatred for Clover is more than just personal. It is simply because they are loved by Mana and therefore they feel like they have the right. And they have many members. I did not count exactly how many, but I think maybe 50, which is a small but still strong members. The third eye is their strongest members, and each and every one of them has a unique magic that utilize it, and also seems to have a third eye that is connected to the elf. Moreover, some, we do not know how many, are descendants of elves that have a true grudge against the Clover Kingdom. And finally, the third eyes are, well, not finally. The third eyes are also a hint towards a deep corruption and maybe a brainwashing. The true final is the magic stones. They're after the magic stones because they hope in order to become one with Mana by utilizing that power, but only elves can use it. So that's basically their summarizing plot, I say. And also they're after the anti-magic swords, but it's not confirmed yet why. this is my very long discussion about the White Knight Eye of Black Clover. I know, it did not make sense a single bit, but but if you want to argue with me in order to try and make it sense, then I will greatly welcome it. Give me your thoughts if you have any.